Welcome to Front of the Envelope Calculation Theater. Phase 4 consists of 4 components. First we have assembly director systems, we need 500 of those. We have magnetic field generators, we need 500 of those too. We have thermal propulsion rockets, we need 250 of those. And we have nuclear pasta, we need 100 of them. I don't know what kind of nuclear pasta, I'm thinking nuclear rigatoni, but that's beside the point. So, we need, to make the assembly director systems, 500 of them, we need 500 adaptive control units and 250 supercomputers. Now, the formulas aren't going to make a whole lot of sense at first, but I am using production amplification to double the amount of units produced when producing parts from current and previous phases. Like the parts I have underlined here, adaptive control units and assembly director systems. So, I'm only going to need 500 adaptive control units and 250 supercomputers to make all 500 assembly director systems. What about the adaptive control units? I got to make those too. Well, I need 1,250 automated wiring, 1,250 circuits, 250 heavy modular frames, and 500 computers. And keeping in mind that's with production amplification. To make the automated wiring, I need 625 stators and 12,500 cable. That's a lot of cable. But then again, automated wiring has always needed a lot of cable. Now let's move on to the magnetic field generators. I need 625 versatile frameworks, 250 electromagnetic control rods, and I'll use those to make 500 magnetic field generators. To make the versatile frameworks, I need 157 modular frames and 1,884 steel beams. Now, because of production amplification, it can't really make anything with an odd number at the end of it anyway, and because versatile frameworks are made 2 at a time, even without it, I'm going to have to, shall we say, round up to the nearest multiple of 4. So I'm making 628 versatile frameworks. I'll have 3 left over, but I suppose I'll keep this around in case I need them. Now, on to the thermal propulsion rockets. I'm going to need 315 modular engines, 126 turbomotors, 378 cooling systems, 126 fused modular frames to make 252 thermal propulsion rockets. Again, I'm rounding up to the nearest multiple of 4 because they're made in pairs without production amplification. To make the modular engines, I'm going to need 316 smart platings, 316 motors, 2,370 rubber, and I'm going to end up making 316 modular engines because, well, again, production amplification. This time, modular engines are only made 1 at a time ordinarily, but since I'm making them by 2s, I'm going to have to round up to, in this case, the nearest even number. And as for smart plating, that's easy. 158 rotors, 158 reinforced iron plates to make 316 smart plates. Now, nuclear pasta. I'm going to have to make 100 pressure conversion cubes and combine them with 20,000 copper powder to make 100 nuclear pasta. Now, I am not going to be using production amplification because it has a multiplying effect on the amount of power consumed, and especially with the fact that power consumption varies when using the particle accelerator, I don't think I'll be able to afford the extra power. Fortunately, I only have to make 100 pressure conversion cubes. Although 20,000 copper powder is kind of steep. Hopefully it's a pretty basic thing to make. Sounds like it. Now, as for the pressure conversion cubes, Those I can afford to use production amplification. Those aren't made in particle accelerators. So I need 50 fused modular frames and 100 radio control units to make all 100 pressure conversion cubes. Now, pressure conversion cubes aren't from a previous phase, but I don't think they're used to make anything else. So I'm unofficially counting them as a Phase 4 project part. And that's how I'm gonna finish Phase 4. There we go. What was one of these called? There we go, magnetic field generator. Let's take that as an example. It uses electromagnetic control rods and versatile framers. Now, versatile framers are a dozen steel beams apiece and a modular frame to produce 2 of them. But one thing that's sort of a policy of mine with production amplification is to use production amplification only when making parts for the project, like this one. So I calculated it out a bit, and I'm only going to need, well, 628 versatile frameworks, minus the few that I had left over. I think I had a couple of hundred of them left over. Because I had Steel Hill reconfigured to only make only versatile frameworks. So I must have miscalculated somewhere, and so I have like a couple of hundred left over, so it's only like 428. 428 times 12 is something, I don't know. But round up to 450, and you get 450 times 12, 900 times 6, 5,400. 5,400 steel beams. I think there are only 100 to a stack. Okay. Yeah. Okay, operation. Let me just. Yeah, the weird. That was weird. I thought that. There we go. 42 tickets. I am rich. Relatively speaking. In script. But I'm still rich. Sort of. Alright, so I'll take this down now that I don't really need it. Yeah, that crash grab was a one-off thing. I don't intend on making a habit of it, but I mean, yeah, I was sinking plastic and rubber, and I figure if that industrial storage bin fills up at ENIAC, I'll sink computers too. But the SAM fluctuators, I'm not exactly, I forget exactly how much they're worth. Only that it's more than, a lot more than plastic and rubber. Speaking of sinking stuff, so I have all this wood from chopping down trees and other foliage in the Red Forest. I'm gonna sink it too. Well, not the wood though. I mean, you can make stuff out of wood, like biofuel. So I guess what I gotta do. Let's see if I can find a free spot here. Oh yeah, I'm keeping some of the steel beams in here. Take those out of there. I might need an AI limiter. Okay, this is 200. 200 times 24 is 4,800. So this is, well, it's not enough. It's mostly enough. Regardless, I've got Steel Hill operating after yet another one of those hiatuses where one of the boxes fills up. And, well, I guess you can wait for it to fill up again. Where's... Okay, so, but the point is the wood is here. The wood is all here. I keep forgetting I can just press 9 and be done with it. Okay. So I'm going to make biomass out of wood. I'm going to make another constructor. I don't know, I could just dismantle that one, but I don't know, there's something about it. It's like that was one of the first things I built. Now it says do 300 a minute. I forget now which conveyor belt does that. Mark IV. Okay. I won't argue. Although, wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna make solid biofuel at 60 a minute. I guess forget the Mark IV conveyor belt isn't worth the aggravation. I just underclock it so it puts out 30 a minute. Sorry, I mean 60 a minute. There. Well, it wouldn't be the first time I massively underclocked something. And then let's build, come on, an awesome sink. Why can't, because, well, I've got a pretty big stockpile of biofuel. So let me that. Connect the sink. Connect the constructor. Connect the other constructor. And finally, connect the input of the constructor to the output of that tank I've been storing the wood in. There we go. Another one of those one-off things. So that's what wood looks like on a conveyor belt. Okay, fine. Enough distractions. I gotta resupply the alclad sheeting to the cooling gizmo factory. Oh yeah, they're called cooling systems. I keep forgetting that. And then we gotta get started on phase 4. We're gonna start with the simple stuff first. By simple, I mean it uses simple components. And the simplest components, well, I mean, they're all complicated, but they all use simple components. And the simplest of those components is the smart plating. It's just reinforced plating and a rotor. I've calculated out how much I need because the smart plates I used to make modular engines, but I also have one of those left over. I think it's because they're produced in like twos, and or maybe I just let that go a little too long by mistake. Well, that's not happening this time. I've calculated everything out to the last decimal point, and I'm going to use the project parts from earlier phases as limiting factors, meaning that production will stop when it runs out of here we go. When it runs out of former project parts. Well, now, I'm going to be using, well, field manufacturing, quote-unquote, for both project parts and for things like supercomputers and radio controllers that I need a lot of, but not an endless supply. The difference, of course, is going to be the Summers loops. I mean, production amplification I use for all project parts, even something as simple as smart plates. So I need 157 reinforced iron plates, 157 rotors. Sounds easy peasy, doesn't it? I'm not exactly sure how long that's going to take. It shouldn't take too long, but I don't know. I'd have to check. I also have to... Wait, do I have any Summers loops on me? No. No, I always store those. Use this assembler. I was using it to review magnetic field generators earlier. There you go. Smart plates. 2 a minute. Wait a minute. I think it used to be that I could store, like, these things in... Well, I didn't need... whatever those were. I didn't need boxes because the amounts were small enough that I could just stick them in the buffers of the assembler itself. I remember doing that for smart plates. Thing again. There we go, smart plates. Oh, and I forgot to bring the Summers loop. My mistake. I was going to go over to Precipice and grab some of the other parts I need for supercomputers. I've already got the plastic, or at least some plastic, and the computers. Cables, they remind me of something else. I'm going to need a lot more cables too, which means I'm going to have to rejigger the copper plants. So, output multiplier, double it, 4 minutes. Now I'm going to put in 3 boxes. There we go. Sort of like in the olden days where I had the assemblers directly connected to the space elevator. What's in here? Oh yeah, reinforced iron plating. Okay. It's kind of easy to lose track of where all this was. Ah. So I gotta make 100, one pile of 100 and one pile of 57. Because I don't want to make excess smart plates. I mean, I suppose I could just sink them. But the idea of syncing excess project parts never really sat well with me. Maybe I got the impression that I was going to need them later, or that I might need them later, and that never really went away. So, 107. And let me go over to the rotor factory, which I ran that thing like once. And, like, just in case I needed rotors. Like, lots of rotors. And I filled up a whole box with them. Not a big one, but a little one. Still a lot. Just in case I needed them. Maybe it was because I hadn't thought of the idea of making a motor factory yet. But this place, it got kind of, well, overshadowed, I guess. Wait a minute. 150. I'll make a stack of 7 here. Oh, and one thing more I gotta do is power this thing. It's not connected to anything, I just realized that. Is there any extra connections? I suppose there's always that one. There we go. Now we're making smart plates. Only about 30 seconds. Well, it shouldn't take too long. So, while I'm thinking about this, I'm going to go over to the copper factory over at Tightrope and Copper. And, well, see, one thing I noticed about copper is that I don't really need that much wire, that much ordinary wire. I certainly need cable, though. In case it wasn't clear, just now that I've effectively moved ENIAC computers over to Freighter Lake, I don't really need the original computer factory anymore. I mean, it was just an experimental model anyway. There's the wires. Okay, so see something. Just how many of these was I putting out? 30, make that 60 a minute. Program that to make cable. Yeah, that should work. And then I'm going to put it in a big box here. Where's there a power node? There we go. Now to do the same with the other one. You see, I calculated just how much cable I'm going to need. And the answer isn't just a lot, it's 62.5 stacks. And that's not including, and that's just for a project part. I mean, oscillators also require cable. Why this is jammed. Oh yeah, I have this thing turned off. Well, copper. Well, it's also producing copper sheets, and copper sheets are going to be something of a hindrance. What I'm going to have to do is make this plant, set this plant up so that it only puts out, well, cable. This means I clock it under to 30 a minute. The alternative is to, wait, if this is on, why isn't it on? Did I connect this to a switch? I don't remember doing that. Oh, these are off. I guess it's because they were making everything in. I was making everything possible to make out of copper ingots here, and I must have lost sight of the fact that I needed wire and cable. I thought I had enough. I really didn't. I'm not sure. But now I've got this thing running, making making cable. It should go on for a while. Not sure how long, but I think it's like 30 minutes. I have to calculate how long it would take to make to fill up a whole industrial container. I mean, sure, there's two of them there, but they're both being filled at once.